First off, there's this shot which I took at Greenwich on the River Thames, and it's a beautiful location, Greenwich, steeped in history and its associations with the Royal Navy. The shot itself I took, roughly speaking, halfway up the hill that runs up to the famous Royal Observatory, looking back down and across the river. In the foreground you've got the park, behind which you've got the former Royal Naval College buildings, the River Thames. The other side of the River Thames you've got the modern skyscrapers in the background there on the skyline. And Greenwich itself is, as I say, steeped in history. So it's a lovely spot. You've got, I mentioned the Royal Observatory, I've mentioned the former Royal Naval Colleges, museums, pubs, the famous Cutty Sark ship there, and there we go. So there's a shot to start things off. I took this shot looking down from the castle in a place called Lewes in East Sussex. I titled it Forever England because it's green and it's lush, and I suppose it's sort of quintessentially English, and I just thought it was a lovely spot. Lewes itself is very interesting. I mentioned the castle, but it's a very interesting town to have a walk round, and one that's quite close to me now. We've moved to this part of the world down in Sussex. Okay, so that's this particular shot, and I'll move on to another one in a second. Now for a shot that I took at one of my all-time favourite locations, close to where we used to live. This particular shot is taken at Richmond upon Thames, down by the river, and lovely stretch of river down by Richmond and all along there. And as you can see, it's a nice, hopefully pretty landscape shot of a boat in the foreground there, and the bridge across the Thames, the Richmond Bridge in the background. And so it's a lovely location, Richmond. All down the river there you've got some lovely views. So that's Richmond upon Thames, and let's move on to the next shot. This shot of the River Thames at Sunbury on Thames, or looking towards Sunbury on Thames, was actually taken from a bridge over the Thames at a place called Tag's Island, leads across to Tag's Island. And what I was trying to get in this shot was the openness of it, and I actually called it Expanse, and a sort of soft pastel look to it, with the boats and the houses moored along by the river there. And another one of my favourite locations. There's a theme that runs through a lot of my work, which is water, either rivers or the seaside. I seem to be sort of drawn to water. I grew up near the river, and so a lot of my shots have been taken somewhere down the River Thames, including this one. So let's move on to somewhere completely different in a second. This shot is taken in Bruges, in Belgium, and it's another shot taken from a bridge, and there's another shot with water in it. It's actually taken at a place which is a canal, one of Bruges' canals, and it's called the Grunerie, and I'm not sure I pronounced that right. Apologies to any natives of Belgium, but I just like the shot straight down the canal. It's actually taken near to this beautiful 16th century hotel where we stayed. Actually, I say 16th century hotel, I should say the hotel dates back to a 16th century building, and the whole of Bruges is beautiful. I love it. It was my second visit there. The first one was very short, but this one was a little bit longer, so I was able to get around this beautiful historic town and get some pictures, including this one. So somewhere completely different for this one, and somewhere a bit closer to home in the next one. Okay, so I said shot taken a lot closer to home. This shot is taken approximately a mile and a half down the road from where we now live in Bognor Regis, West Sussex, on the south coast of England. And as you can see, it's got water in it again, lots of it this time. It's taken of the beach in Bognor Regis. And the pier and the breakwater there, and it's at first shot that I taken with long exposure, where I really wanted to try and get a nice sort of fluid feel to the water there, so much closer to home than the last shot. And we'll move on now on to somewhere that's taken far away again. So this time we've got a shot taken in Porto, in Portugal, and another shot of water, another shot taken from a bridge. There seems to be a theme. This one is taken from the quite amazing Dom Louis I bridge, which spans the River Douro between the two cities of Porto and Villanova de Gaia on the opposite bank there, looking straight down the river, with Porto's riverfront on the right hand side. Porto really enjoyed. Again, very historic. On this bank here that you're looking at, there's many sort of tourist attractions. On the opposite bank, on the Gaia side of the river, you've got all the, I suppose you say distilleries. Not sure if that's the right term, because Porto is famous for its port, so lots of port warehouses and so on. So that was a shot of Porto, quite different from the last one in location. Now this shot is taken on the River Thames at Kingston upon Thames, my former home location, and it was actually taken between lockdowns, the brief spell we had between lockdowns back in 2020. What appealed to me were all the river boats and the pleasure boats moored up all along by the river. Sadly, this particular boat in the centre there is the new Southern Belle, which is a paddle steamer, or a replica paddle steamer, which runs down the river between Richmond upon Thames and further down past Kingston into Hampton Court. A trip that I've done quite a few times over the years. So we'll move on now to a shot which is taken further down the river, in fact, at Hampton Court or Bushy Park. I called this shot Neighbours because I was just attracted to the two trees. They're in close proximity, the sort of skinny tree on the left hand side and the more sort of lush tree on the right hand side. So say it was taken in Bushy Park, which is a lovely beautiful open park right near Hampton Court on the River Thames, and of course the famous Hampton Court Palace, which is also located there. And it's a simple sort of landscape shot, but it just appealed to me, the simplicity of it. So we'll move on now to another relatively close by location, another landscape work. I called this shot A Host of Golden Daffodils, and I think you can see why. It's taken at Kew Gardens, another beautiful location, which is famous of course for its huge greenhouses and tropical plants, palms, and its famous, world famous conservation work and horticulture. And I think it was just all the expanse of daffodils sort of leading right back into the distance that caught my eye in this one. So I got a fairly low down shot of this landscape. So another lovely location. Kew, or Kew Gardens. Kew is actually located just down the river from Richmond upon Thames. So a lot of the places in my shots are relatively close by to where I used to live in Kingston, as I mentioned previously. This is another shot that I took at Lewes in East Sussex. It's actually taken quite close to where I took another shot I showed you earlier, looking down from the castle, and I called it Pretty Country Lane. I think you can see why. It was just one of those shots where I don't really plan shots, or if I do, it's because I know a location, so I got an idea of what I'm trying to look for. But in this particular one, the only time I've ever been there, and it was just a completely unexpected find, and I just really kind of liked the foliage and the sort of dappled sunlight, and it just was a shot that I took that because it was well, pretty, and I liked it. Back to the river for this one. This is also taken from the bridge over the River Thames to Tags Island, looking completely in the opposite direction from the shot I included a little earlier, and I wanted to try and get a really soft sort of sunrisey type feel to it, and it's a lovely spot of river down there, and one of my favourite locations, and as I said, it's got water in it again, so that can't be too bad. Another shot taken on the River Thames. This one is actually taken at Hampton Court in East Molesey. This is looking across the River Thames back to the side of the River Thames that has the Hampton Court Palace on it, and on the right hand side there you've got Hampton Court Bridge, and I called it straight down the middle because I managed to get those three rowers in their boat going straight down the middle of the river. And East Molesey's and the river down there again, another lovely spot, and one that I visited on many an occasion. And you've also, as I mentioned, got the his famous Hampton Court Palace, home of King Henry VIII, on the other side of the river there, and also Bushy Park that I mentioned in a previous picture. This is one of a series of shots that I took when visiting Prague in the Czech Republic. It's actually taken in what's called the Little Town, and another beautiful location. Absolutely loved Prague, and there's a little bit of a story to this shot. I mentioned I don't generally plan shots. Well, this one I did. We went through this location on the way up to the monastery at the top, and as I went through on the tram, I just turned around this corner and I just saw this image here, this view here I should say, and I thought I've got to get a shot of that. And so, not knowing the area, I actually found it again by accident. We walked down some steps, many steps down back into this area, the little town, and it started to rain a little bit. I parked myself on a corner, waited till I got some trams in where I wanted them, in the right location, patiently, and got the shot I was after. It was one of those shots where just occasionally everything seems to come together and you know you've got the shot that you really wanted. So many miles away for that one in Prague. I've chosen this last shot because like the previous one, it was another one of those moments where you just can see the picture that you want. You just know you've got kind of what you really want, and it's taken quite close to our new home location, a few miles down the road into Chichester. You can see the Chichester Cathedral in the background there, and it's actually taken in a place called the Bishop's Garden, and it's called the Garden After the Rain because I don't know if you can see, but there is actually a decided bit of dampness and on the ground there, and it was actually taken just between rain showers, and it was only a brief gap between the two showers when I was able to take the shot, and it's got no water in it, which is makes a change from some of my previous shots. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this, and it's a sort of selection of my work because I don't really talk about my work very much, and why I take the sort of shots I do, and why I enjoy taking those shots and visiting these places, and hopefully a little bit of information on the locations themselves, which I hope you'll find of interest.